Money doesn't take away childhood trauma. It doesn't. More friends doesn't take it away. More degrees doesn't take it away. More women doesn't take it away. More men doesn't take it away. Enjoying nice vacations doesn't take it away. There is the healer, the one who can go to our past and restore the years that the locusts and the cankerworms have eaten. There is a void in the heart of a man that only God can heal. Because if you are not careful, many of the things you now begin to do and pursue will be an attempt to fill in the void of the old days. You can marry someone to silence the abusers of your past. And you can stay in an abusive marriage because they said, we know it will not work. And then you now rather die there than to walk out, even when you know you are dying. And by walk out, I mean separate for a while and let there be repair. And there are cases that we have seen that this person doesn't have what it takes to fulfill God's plan in this person's life. What do we do? You can pursue a degree, you can pursue degrees just to answer the questions of your past. You want to ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing what you're doing? There might be insults that have been hanging in your mind, things that they said, we know you can't do. We know you can't amount to anything. We know you can't become anything. We know you can't get a degree. We know you are not smart. We know you can't stay with a husband. We know you can't stay with a wife. And you abandon your direction to prove them wrong. You are still trapped in your childhood mind. There are people who are afraid of going to school to add more degrees because of what the secondary school teacher said. There are people who believe they are not intelligent because of what even their parent said. Have you seen the case of parents who compare children with each other? You are not as smart as your sister. You are not as smart as your brother. Look at you. What are you good for? You don't bring me joy. This is my hope of tomorrow. This is the one where I'm going to look up to. I will not expect anything from you or think, who speaks as though they are God? And sometimes parents look at their children and make them eternal enemies. You compare them with every opportunity you have. Some will even call their children Esau and Jacob. There are parents who go on to tell their children, you are a mistake. There are parents who perceive the children as the reward for their mistakes. They see the child as a possibility that ought not to be. Never you think that you cannot have a dysfunctional experience around your own blood. There are mothers who hate their children with perfect hatred. And there are fathers who do the same. And you wonder, why? Sometimes maybe the child reminds them of what they ought to be that they can never be. And they express frustration on the child. And the devil is using them successfully to kill something about the child. It's an attack on your mind, on your emotions, on your perception of reality, of people, of life. Sometimes the attack can be so much you decide, I will never get married. Sometimes you can decide, I will never marry from my village. I will never marry from my place. Sometimes you are right. Sometimes you are wrong. How do you know that you are still trapped in the past? How do you know that you are still trapped in your childhood mind? One of the ways to know is when you don't want to have any memory of it. It hurts you. Your heart skips when you think about it. There are things you have removed from your mind, not because you are better, but because you are better off not remembering them. And sometimes you've numbed the thought that you barely remember anyone. But that doesn't mean it is not in your subconscious. Because every now and then there are things that reminds you of them and you cry. When Adam and Eve heard the voice of God walking in the cool of the evening in the garden, they hid themselves and covered themselves with fig leaves. And they said, "For we are naked." And God said, "Who told you that you are naked?" He understood that new consciousness they now have, someone said it. And the fact that they said it doesn't mean it is correct. It is possible to be here that all you believe about yourself is a lie. And before you know it, you start behaving everything like the lie. Since they call you wicked, you have become. Since they call you daft, you start behaving like that. The tendency and the ability for productivity began to die when they said, "We know you will not amount to anything." And even when there are little roadblocks and failures, they will tell you, "We are not surprised." And you start carrying yourself as one who, "I'm just here." One of the very important questions you need to ask this morning is, the definition of you that you have, who gave you? Who gave you? What you believe about yourself, who told you? There are many of you now that if we try to tell you, "You look good," you just use religious statement to say, "Bless God." But you are not receiving it because you don't believe it is true. The image that is still on your mind is the image of your secondary school days, where you have to trek and carry your bags on your head. And you don't believe it. The definition of you that you have now, who gave you? Ask your neighbor, who are you? Who are you?